I would have just skipped the class, but I don't just want to make a fizz out of this, because the real me would have skipped this class, but there's no problem. Now, the main reason why I said I would host this class is because of inverse key level. I figure out that most people do not understand the concept behind inverse key level. Now, if you are here and you don't even know what key level is, you have to go back to go and watch key level video before you even talk about the inverse key level. Now, what's the inverse key level? An inverse key level is simply the failure of a previous key level in a corresponding direction. For example, if we have this here as a buy, which is a resistance that turned into a support, and then we are expecting price to come back here and buy. Now, where does an inverse key level take place? An inverse key level will take place, the whole concept of continuation model is when the most recent key level fails, or the most recent continuation model fails. We are expecting that price goes back to the internal. So that process where price is going back to the internal, which is like the inducement and the disruption, you could take a counter in the opposite direction, targeting at least 1 to 2. Now, if this is our resistance that turned into a support, now we're expecting a buy, and price like tapped on 50% and then it bought, and later on price came back and it took it out. Now, the moment this zone is taken out with the body of the candle, this place here is now considered as an inverse key level. Now, you can take a sell from here, targeting the inducement. Now, because an inverse key level is mostly counters, because if we are buying and a most recent fails, now we're expected to like wait at the inducement or disruption, but all those time we're waiting is just like a waste of time. So you could take a sell as a counter. Alright, you could take a sell as a counter. Now, to make it more better, because of it's a counter, you can just decide to use just 50%. You're going to use like 50%. This to this is the candle, so you can use like use gang box. So you can use like your entry can be like 50%. If you use 50%, may likely miss entry, but then this is the most perfect entry for those with low capital. Now, your take profit should be, if in reality from here to here will be 1 to 1 week to reward, if you take from 50%, you now have what? 1, 2. That's why you see that most times they may think that I'm taking 1 to 1 week to reward trade, but in reality it's actually 1 to 2. And if the market is very fair, we have more. So an inverse key level is just simple. The corresponding key level in that direction just fails, and then we use the flip of it to sell. Now, let me give some examples on the live chart. Now, I'm going to use like the few trades I took from when price broke structure, change character for this sell we currently have, to the most recent price action before we close. Like I said, it's just going to be a 25 minutes class. So now this is our most, and I want to talk about something. Most people are saying that if we are in a bearish market and then we see one bullish candle inside it, that bullish candle is your structural liquidity. See, let me tell you the truth. When you're trading a knowledge that you did not invent, but then you are trying to mark it up with your own experience. That is why it is now called a strategy. Anybody could have their own personal strategy. A strategy is built like from your own experience. So if we say that if we see a green candle here, for example, it means that is a social liquidity. It's your own experience, but the standard method of talking about a valid inducement, it must have a structural liquidity, whether dual or series. And dual or series was invented for TLS. There is no name like that anywhere. So now we have this guy as the most recent inducement, then as the thing implies, I told you guys, we do not sell, we don't buy at the inducement. As a matter of fact, we do not trade the inducement except we want to reclaim it. Now the most perfect way to reclaim, hope you guys can see my screen. Let me check the group to be sure that you are following. These people that ask for link, you guys should check TLS 1.0 live stream. Which link are you looking for again? Imagine is now that most people are like, it's not that most people are looking for link. Is it that all the classes that were holding before, they were not attending? All these things are just distraction. I beg. Let's continue. Now, like I said before, we don't trade the inducements. Okay, but you could reclaim an inducement, the whole reclamation model, the whole whatever. I told you, every strategy has a key level in it. If you like, let them call it QML, QMRO, ABCD, SYZ, OP, whatever. There is a key level in those entries. Alright, now we have, if you want to reclaim this inducement after it got taken out, you know perfectly well that if you are trying to buy at this point, you must be taken out by this, because you can't tell me that your SL is below this week. It's not possible. But then how can you reclaim this? It's very simple. Now price created this sell key level, so whether it just close with the body in these two equal stuffs, it is a key level. This thing here is seen as a key level. As a matter of fact, this is a support that turned into a resistance, so whether price close below it with the body of the candle. So now this key level, the invalidation of this key level is these two candles. Alright, now if these two candles are taken out, which they were as of when I took the trade, not we, but most of you anyway, when this key level was invalidated by this candle. Now how to reclaim this is not by putting your entry here. It's very simple. After price took out this support that turned into a resistance, the price broke through, it created this thing here, which is what? This is now a resistance that now turned to a support, and it is called an inverse key level because it was created after price took out this one, which they wanted to sell from, a support that turned to a resistance, and then we are now buying at this point, and the invalidation of this key level is this. So this was how I took this first buy. Like I said, to be on the safer side, especially with low margin, you can take 50% of that key level. Example, what is that buy to? You could long from this point. Initially, when this thing tap here and then it started going up a bit, you might probably think like you have missed entry, but it is most especially for those with little capital. The invalidation is just here. You don't even need to go far, because once price takes this thing out, that zone is out. So then what you target, because it's an inverse, 1 to 2, at most 1 to 3. Alright, later on you can decide if you still want to continue taking buys at each flips. Each flips means this one here, this is a flip. Once price breaks above it, this is a resistance, a previous resistance that later turned to a support. Like I said, the invalidation of these two candles is this place. So to be on the safer side, you can take 50%, which you can miss entry, or to be on the safer side, miss entry, doesn't matter. still set one entry here and then the rest here. Then the next one. Now you might wonder, why did I change my bias to sell? Now I took a sell as of this sell that originated all this massive sell that has been going on. I got it from the start. Now how did I? After price got to this swing high, the last swing I created, this is a resistance. Now I observed that I tapped on this resistance, and then after I tapped on that resistance, don't forget that we have, let me take this out, we have this, and one thing I want you to take note of is that when talking about price invalidating is a support on resistance or resistance on support, it doesn't matter whether it is unfresh or fresh. Once that zone is taken out, whether it is unfresh or it is fresh, that inverse will hold. Now this zone got taken out. This is the zone here. This is the buy zone that got taken out. It got taken out over here. This is the validation. I told you it's the two candle that makes the validation. So when it got taken out, what our entry is now where? Here. Our entry is now here, which you can see the price tapped on it, and then it started selling. As you can see, it took out this one first because this is the last most recent. And also I think before price took out this one, this thing on some broker like this particular one appeared to be a support that got broken, sorry, a resistance that got broken. Normally this is a place we're supposed to sell from, and then price doesn't have to like close above it. So this was a support, a resistance that now turned to a support. And then what was supposed to happen here? We're supposed to buy. Alright, but then the buy did not happen. So now price started selling. At that point, price started selling. The most recent was now this. After this one got taken out, the most recent was now this one. May not get any entry around here. If not, would have had maybe probably this, but I think this thing triggered on my MetaTrader 5 analysis. But still, we still had this second chance. We still had this one, and then we started selling. Maybe we are selling. The sales is simply just a counter because what the disruption is still intact. This is the disruption. Alright, so fortunately we took the sell, and then it sold and sold and sold until price got to this level. And then, as you all know, price will react to the most recent key level, which is what? This one. These things are not triggering on this thing, but on derive MetaTrader 5 chart. All these things triggered. Don't know what's doing. And then the next one we had was this. Price still sold for me over here. And then we had this one. Which price later took it out. So the invalidation was here. Price took it out, and then bought a little with the inverse. This was now the inverse created after price took it out this year. That's why I told you that when it comes to inverse key level, your target should not even exceed 1 to 2, and that 1 to 2 is because you are taking 50%. Otherwise, if you are taking from direct entry, then it's 1 to 1. If you have any, what's the name, any drawdown, it's an opportunity for you to open more position because the inverse hardly fails. So if you're taking 50%, you have your 1 to 2 secured already and more. And then what happened? Price later on took it out again. So we now like start following the flip zones. We had this guy that got broken here with price sold from it as well. Now you might think, why did I now later take that buy that I took? Now we had this last, is it this one? No, price still sold from this one. Now the one that changed the whole bias from buy to sell, I think it should be this one because currently I'm not even seeing. Okay, I think it's this one. I think this is the last price created. So now price created this last one and then later went to invalidate it. This is the high that invalidated it. Now after this was invalidated, we take an inverse as usual because what price created this. So if you cannot take 50%, you mark it all up and then you stack at retracement because this is the 50% of it. But I think price later came back to the 50% after this push. So if you want to hold the 50%, that's on you. If you don't want, it's still on you. So if you take the 50%, you are still in. Yes, only just below the last candle, and you see your 1 to 2 is secured. And if you take directly, your 1 to 1 is still secured. So whichever you do is left for you and how much you have in your account. Then after that we started selling. Price later came back and invalidated. You can see that all these things are just, these inverse are just scalp, alright, because this bias is not in line with the trend. Why? Because the inducement disruption has been taken out. We are just like, you'll be asking me, how am I taking those buys? This one and down and down and down. So then we had this other one here. Price did not come back to mitigate it. I think we had this. I don't want to like take a lot of time. Let me just go to the one that started off the buy. Then we had this. If I trade both inverse and normal key level, I should be able to take at least 8 trade in a week, 8 or 7. If I'm adding both inverse like this, I should be able to like take both 8 and 7, 8, 7 or 6. Then now we had this last one that caused this buy to happen. The buy, I think I took this buy last week. It was this. Now the invalidation of this is this guy here. So after this guy got invalidated, you can see where it got invalidated. Price broke above it. Now it created this key level afterwards. Like I said, you can decide to take 50%. You can still decide to do whatever you can afford to lose. It's still on you. But both 50%, I think the 50% did not trigger. It's just the direct entry that triggered. Then we got triggered at first entry, which is this. And validation is just this candle. The entry directly, like I said, 1 to 1 is enough for you, or 1 to 2 for taking 50%. Then we had more. I think this was another one. Which was this over here. I don't want to be putting in love to Sabii. and on and on and on and on until we had this. The price later came back. This buy. Now, why this was ongoing, if you observe, I took a sell. Now, why did I take a sell at this point? That was because this over here is a key level. The only thing is that it's just very, very tiny, but it's an unfetched key level. Remember, I said whether fetch or unfetched, once you get invalidated. So now we have this unfetched key level here that got invalidated. At that point, what did I do? I took the inverse, which was this guy here. This was my sell. I think this was Wednesday this week that just passed, and then my SL was just here. You can take 50%. You can take at the normal whatever. Then we had this, and then later on, everybody might probably be still. No, don't forget that when you are doing all of this, you still have to put in mind that this trend is still bearish. Alright, so the buys you are taking are simply counters, they are inverse buy, but the sales are in line with the trend, but they have not taken liquidity, like they have not gone to the inducement, neither disruption. So you are just like, this is the only way you could trade when price is like, would I say, ranging or something. And then now we had this last key level here. Okay, that's not it. Some broker has this. Some broker has this. Like that MT5 stuff I talked about. If you check yours, you might probably have it. Xness, Derive. This here was a valid key level. So after this got invalidated at this point, now price created this guy here as our buy, and that's the what about this one. Our SL just below this. This is where the buy triggered. Our SL just below their invalidation of the second candle. Because we're entering directly, you could do 1 to 1 or 1 to 2. And then we expected that, yes, are we buying? Are we going to the inducement? You know, the inducement is still far away, but it's still here. So we're like thinking, are we? Where did I take this from? Okay, from this 50%. Like, are we buying? What are we doing? What are we doing? And then I was like, okay, let's see how it goes. I was already out of the buy. Then we had, okay, I think I entered another buy here after price took out this key level, this sell key level here. You take 50% or all of it if the zone is very big, because gold, I think they have even increased. So now we had this, and then fortunately price came into the 50% to continue the buy we already had initially. So we had this, and now I SL just here. We just put it here and then shift this. All these things I'm showing you, I took all of them. You can see that before I put this chart, there were these black stuffs everywhere. I usually remove these things. It's only like, would I say, all these new bitches that should just be flooding this thing, like they're not necessary. You already made the money, so it gives me a broader, like a better view. So then I took the buy from here, and then now observe something again, which was the sell I took as of where was the sell? Thursday. Is it Thursday? No, that's Friday, because that was the last trade I took before the market closed. So, and then we had this buy key level here, and then the buy key level failed. I think I was this the second candle here. This was where it failed. But then I took a very unusual entry pattern, which was the QML kind of, because there was no key level here, and I knew that a sale would happen, but I don't know the particular would I say, let me take this out. I did not know the price not create any key level around here on this 1 hour time frame. So what I did was I marked out this, and then I also marked out 50% of this high to this key level. If you observe, I also wrote something like I think when I took this trade, I also outlined when I drew the markup. I did something like this, like if I should get to the middle. So I used this high here because that's the only valid entry we could get after the failure of these people, because even after the failure they did not create anything. The next one that is the price created now is this one. So what I did was I entered directly from here. Would have been 50%, but then I wouldn't lie to you, I did not use the 50%. I used this one. But then when price retraced, I also opened position here. So somehow it looked like I did about quite close here, about 1 to 3. And then the most recent now that we have for sale is this one, which means that if by what's the time? It's 10:28. If by 11 when the market opens, price breaks above here, because it's the invalidation, price breaks above here, then we should be looking forward to taking an inverse buy. Then we continue to target our inducement. So it's just as simple as ABCD. You can see how many trades. This is when Friday to Friday, 1 week. How many trades did you get? I told you 1, 2. That's excluding all these little cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we're going to end here for today. I just hope you guys really impressed me with your results. Like, I need a lot of results from this class. It's quite encouraging. Most people have built houses and cars and the rest, but I think we need to do more. And most people are like holding their results, which is fine. I still see it on their platform. It's okay. It's not compulsory to send the results to me. You do not owe me that, but as an appreciation, at least for their time and everything. Alright, that will be the end of today's class, and wherever you do not understand, do well to ask in the group when it gets opened by 12 p.m. tomorrow. So thank you so much, and see you some other time.